everyone, a warm welcome to the Dumb Ph.D Podcast, the only place where being dumb is actually a competitive advantage. And that's because the smartest people are not the ones who know it all, but it's the ones who are curious enough to continue asking. Whether you did your PhD or you ran midway or you are someone like me who finished their PhD and ran away from it, this podcast is for anyone navigating that delightful existential crisis called career. We talk about many things, but certain things that we talk about that our degrees don't teach us is reinventing yourself through a career pivot, how to handle rejections, how to change your mindset. So, buckle up, and there are certain things that might just flip the way your default settings are. And today I'm excited because in this podcast, we have someone who doesn't wear an academic robe. What that means is she isn't a PhD, but she has worked with tons of PhDs in her work life. So, though not wearing the academic robe, but she has her own story of resilience where she was holding a baby on her one hip, actually two babies, and also debugging SQL on the other. So today's guest is Jothi Abarna Chandran, and she is quite a disruptor because she moved into a senior product manager in healthcare analytics while not holding a PhD, as I have been mentioning, and did work with plenty of them. And if you ask me, she is the kind of person many PhDs can learn from. After an 11 years, you heard that right, 11 years career break, she started as a volunteer and climbed the ladders. Within 2.5 years, she's got into a senior product manager role. We're going to learn more about how that happened. But for today, she has joined us not just to share how she did it, but how she thought her way through it. And if you're someone who has paused, who is in their career pivot journey or say been pigeonholed, then this episode is not just for you because it's you. And I'm especially talking to the woman who keep coming to me saying, I have a career break. So again, buckle up because your career break may be the biggest break you actually needed to come back and shatter that wall and start with a new beginning. With that, AB, the focus is back on you. And my very first question for you is, you took a 11-year career break. I mean, I can't even imagine, right? So everyone who takes such a long career break makes them nervous, but it clearly didn't stop you. So what do you think changed over those years, and what was the mindset that you came back with and made that happen for you? Over to you, AB.
Thank you, Rima. That was so wonderful. That was such kind words. So thank you for that. So like you said, if my story can resonate with at least like one person out there or one woman out there who has taken a career break and having a lot of self-doubts, this would be time well spent, right? So that's what I'm looking forward to. So I'm happy to share my story. Like you said 11 years. It's slightly different. It's 12 years, actually. Uh, yes. So, yes. It is daunting, it is overwhelming, right? Because anytime companies see a career break on your resume, they, according to them, if they hire such a person, they're taking risk, right? So they want to be risk adverse. They always want confidence, like, okay, if somebody has hired this person can get the job done. So they don't want to take a chance or take risk on anyone. So of course, I had my share of difficulties when I restarted my career, but that doesn't have to define yourself. It is hard, but currently in today's day and age, companies understand that. They understand they do take career breaks. So it is not impossible. It is hard, but it's not impossible. So there are a lot of transferable skills, number one. And number two, even though you didn't have like a paid job outside of your home, you still learn from life, right? So you definitely like become more matured as a person, your soft skills develop, you're still taking decisions at home. So you really need to like frame or tell your story in a way that gives confidence to the hiring manager that, hey, yes, I do have a career break, but that's not going to stop me. In fact, I'm going to appreciate this opportunity a lot more, and I'm going to make you proud. That's the story you want to convey in your interview. And it's completely doable. It's not just possible to get back into a job, it's also possible to thrive. And then, like you said, grow in your career. So all that is completely within reach, completely doable. So I want to encourage everyone out there who has a career break not to be discouraged. And, I'm just one example. I know a lot of people who have had the same path and is doing great now. So that's myself in a nutshell. But of course, we can go deep in anything you want.
Yes, EB, on that note, I just want to come back to this career break part only. One thing is, I talk to many women who have a career break, and they have difficulty owning that story, okay? Difficulty saying to the hiring managers that they took a career break for maternity leave. And this also happens with people who are talking to recruiters, okay, and when they have to say that it was because of maternity leave that they went on a career break, they feel like they are being judged. So would you like to share something, Av, over there? And also, right now you are also into making hiring decisions, as I understand, right? So when a woman, say with a maternity break, comes to you, what exactly is the trait that you are looking for?
That's a great question, right? Again, we're always looking for fit for the job. So it doesn't matter whether you have a break or not, but during the hiring process, during the interviews, you need to demonstrate that you have the skill set and you have the confidence to do the job, right? So that's the thing. So in my case, Rima, so I meant to take a short break, but with the different things, with children, having kids, and then with an international move, and with my work authorization, because of multiple reasons, it became a 12-year career break. But if I had started applying for jobs like just like that with a break, I'm sure like people, the hiring managers would have been anxious, would not have had the confidence. But in my case, I did a lot of like volunteering. I did some projects. So I know when the time was right, for I think 6 to 9 months before I restarted my career, I started like refreshing my skills. So there's a lot of planning, right? I had a career transition as well. So it's not just a break. When I restarted, I started in a different field. So it's a lot of volunteering, a lot of refreshers, and I did take some certifications. So it doesn't need to be like long courses, but there has to be a few months of prep before you can restart your career. That helps you be confident in your interviews and also gives them the confidence, right? Yes, this person actually is not going to take very long to ramp up in the job. So all they're trying to look for is, are you qualified to do the job, and are you like, how soon can you ramp up, right? So you have to be a fast learner. So if you can demonstrate that, if you can show them that, hey, I have put the effort to do that, then I think that gives them the confidence they need to hire you.
Sure, Abarna. On that note, this is a follow-up question on the volunteering part you mentioned. Okay, so when it comes to the volunteering experience that you have been gathering slowly and consistently before making that big shift, this is where many people who have taken that career breaks are not sure whether volunteering works or not. Though I always encourage that volunteering is a great way to build on your resume to show that you have the relevant skills. I want to hear from you what's your experience over there, and also how do people go about finding such volunteering roles? How did you find it for yourself?
Yes, that's again a great question, right? Volunteering, it's not advertised a lot. So it is there, but it's not easy to know which volunteering opportunities are there. So in my case, I actually did polymer technology, that's my engineering, and that's what my first innings of my career was on. And then after the break, you have to always see you have to assess your strengths, and also you should see what are the opportunities, right? Whatever is the intersection, jobs that are at the intersection, that's your best fit, right? So in my case, like I know, like I'm very analytical, anything we do at home, it could be a vacation or it could be choosing the school for my kids. I always like go to my spreadsheet, I write everything, and then I run it by my husband. So that's my way of thinking. So a lot of friends have commented, hey, you're very analytical, seeing my spreadsheets. So that's how I operate. So I knew, like, if I can leverage that, so that would be a strength. I recognize that's my strength. So I wanted to do something in the analytics field. And I live in this Silicon Valley of the world, right? So I'm like surrounded by a lot of like tech companies. So I wanted to like, okay, so these are my strengths and these are the opportunities. So data analysis would be a great fit. So that's how I identified, and I know I wanted to learn the tools, and then I would do well in my job. So that's my thought process. And then after doing a lot of I mean, not a lot, I did a couple of certifications, and then like you said, directly if I apply, like it's going to be hard. So volunteering, how I got this volunteering opportunity was, there are a lot of uh, um, groups, or there are a lot of people who do this currently, so I actually enrolled myself. I became a part of all those, relaunching websites and organizations, and they are gems. Like I subscribe to their newsletters. So every week I would get newsletters from all those organizations, like the Mom Project. I relaunched. There are quite a few out there, and usually they promote opportunities, like they actually highlight volunteering opportunities. So that's how I came to know this particular thing. So this was during the pandemic, when I restarted my career, the pandemic was going on. So there was a startup who was trying to build a platform to bring people together, people who wanted to help and people who needed help. So I actually signed up to become a data analyst volunteer in that company. So that was a perfect fit, and so everyone around the world. So a lot of people had day jobs, and they were volunteering for that company because it was a philanthropic company, nonprofit. So a lot of people were helping. So I got an opportunity to, like, speak with those people, connect with those people. And like I said, they all had day jobs. So I was able to share my story, learn from them. And then I also got a lot of chance to like practice. So initially you need that warm up phase when you're restarting your career. So that was perfect. That worked out so well. So with that, I also developed the confidence to actually start applying for paid jobs. So volunteering was supremely helpful in my situation to give the confidence I really needed so much at that point.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for validating that volunteering is one thing that we all can start with when looking for a pivot. On that note, again, a follow-up question from your response on volunteering is you spoke about certifications, right? You did a couple of certifications. Now, we all know, right? Certifications any of us can do, right? That's the easiest way to, go about and say that this is what I'm doing for my career pivot versus actually applying those skills, right? So, any thoughts on the same, Abarna?
Of course, because certifications are, again, like you said, will help you learn a lot of concepts, but then application is a completely different ball game, right? So, again, like you said, I wanted to apply what I learned during my certification. So I did quite a few things. Again, nothing major, everything simple, nothing super expensive to do. So there are a lot of opportunities in LinkedIn where you can like participate in contests, or where you can do projects that are relevant to your field. Like I said, I wanted to pivot into the data analytics field. So I did participate in, like, every time they would be like, hey, so this is the data set, like it's a contest. Are there people out there? So I would keep looking for those just to apply my skills. And then I did like two or three like that. Like I said, again, we definitely don't need a lot of anything. We don't need a lot of certifications, and you don't need tons of volunteering. But within 3 to 6 months, I feel like you can sharpen your skills. And like I said, for applying everything I learned, I did participate in a lot of projects and contests. You win or not, it gives you a lot of valuable experience. So I was able to put together all that. And even in interviews, right, you will have tons of stories to tell them. Hey, tell me about a situation, this, that. You will have lots of experience. I mean, you will have a lot of examples if you have done volunteering, if you have participated in projects, certifications, all that. So, projects, yes, I did projects. They were extremely helpful.
Thank you so much for firstly again validating that certifications might not be as useful, not that they aren't, but on the spectrum of usefulness, it may be on the lower end versus doing live volunteering projects, right? Now, on that note, we are going to shift gears a bit and then move into the PhD aspects of thing. Now, why PhD? Because you have worked with a lot of PhDs and now I want to ask you, like, while working with them, according to you, what were the kind of PhDs that did really well, and what were the kind of PhDs that weren't doing really well, despite the insane amount of knowledge they had, right? And you worked with the biggest of organization like General Electric, right? So, can you please enlighten us with your experience, Jyoti?
Of course. GE General Electric was a research organization. So obviously they had a lot of people with PhDs and they have so many special skill sets. So one thing that stood out and, the other side of the coin, like you said, so they're very detail oriented, right? So they can go very, very deep into anything and everything. They're trained to do that. So obviously that is a strength, especially when you're working in a research company like GE. Their depth is very handy, very helpful. But I also feel like, on the other side flip, it's the same thing that can be a con sometimes because like, companies want to move fast. So when you actually provide a lot of, so imagine you did a project, you're presenting, they don't want to hear all the information, right? They want you to be crisp, just highlight the important stuff. So many times because of the training, there is a probability you can get into the details and that can dilute the effect of the story you're trying to tell. So I feel like that depth and being detail oriented can be a strength, but also sometimes in commercial companies that's not always like received so well, or like I said, dilutes the impact. So that is my take, or my observation actually.
Wonderful. I totally agree on that. Being a PhD myself, I know it's always about balancing the depth versus the breadth that we are covering. And as PhDs, we tend to get into the depth a lot more because that's one of our strengths, right? But we have to find the sweet spot where this is going to work and where this isn't going to work. So, on that note, again, tying it to the PhD, say a PhD wants to get into product manager role, right? So, what do you think are the three most important traits that are required for a PhD to get into a product manager role? And being a fresher PhD, what, in your opinion, is a good timeline for them to make that pivot?
I love that question because product management is special because people come from very diverse backgrounds. So that's what this field needs, right? And the top three skills, end of the day, product management is all about, great decision making. And also you need to have a lot of soft skills because you are going to work cross team. You're going to collaborate with a lot of people, with your engineers, with your designers, with your customers, with your leadership. So product managers, like I said, very good soft skills. And then number two, very good decision making. That's like, because every decision you make has to be sound and has an impact, as a product manager. And thirdly, empathy. You should be able to put yourself in the shoes of your engineering counterparts or the customers. So you naturally should have empathy. People with high empathy and high emotional intelligence thrive so well in product management because all other things like your certifications and all that anyone can acquire, but the soft skills are such fundamental skills. I feel for product managers, you need to lead without authority, and people can come from any background. That's the beauty of it. Like I've seen people coming from sales background and testing background and virtually any background basically. So it's a very diverse field. And like you said, your other question was like, at what point can they like try to get into this field, right? So usually, for product management, we see if they have a little bit of experience in any field. It could be the field in which you research, like at least like couple of years of experience in any field before you can become a product manager. Because before being able to take a lot of sound decisions, we want to see they've like walk the path, been the doer. So a little bit of experience is always expected. I haven't seen like freshers becoming product managers. at least with like 2 years of experience. That's the norm.
Okay, Jyoti. On that note, I just want to share this information with you that being a PhD, when you're into PhD programs, we are already doing all of this because we are defining a problem from scratch, right? And coming up with some insights that adds to the knowledge pool. And of course, designing your experiments by yourself, communicating it to the broader audience, and all of that. So I believe it's always about how you frame what you're doing, right? So I think as PhDs, you have that experience, but then at the end of the day, how are you framing it? I guess that applied to you as well because you had this volunteering experience, but if you couldn't frame it well, then again, you lose the opportunity. What is your opinion there?
Yes, framing is extremely important, if not the most important, right? So you can do great work, but you need to weave it all into a story. Like you said, with PhD, you always have pretty much all the relevant experience, like you said, defining the problem, right? So defining the problem, and as product managers, in very simple terms, what we do is like we pick the problem to solve, right? There are so many problems, but some problems are worth solving. So you pick the problem, and then, like you said, you design and not an experiment, but I mean, again, the word we use is roadmap, but you are creating a roadmap, right? How do we get there, right? And then you try different things. Some things work, some don't work, and then you compile your learnings, and then you take the insights, and then you apply it, you scale it. So that's the life cycle. So that's pretty much what a PhD already does, right? So it's very transferable. The skill set is very transferable. So in terms of framing, you have to be very you should quantify the impact. So that's what companies are looking for, right? During your PhD days, like some experiments work, some don't work, but there's always learning, right? That you have, if you're curious, you'll always like learn from every experience. So you quantify everything, and then again, any job you apply to, it's highly, highly important to curate your story or curate your resume according to the job, right? So that, and as long as you have like, I mean, the stories, the same stories you can use for any kind of question, right? So they're going to see your decision making, they're going to test your empathy, they're going to test your soft skills. So I'm sure there's plenty of experience for all this during your PhD. You just have to pick some stories, again, practice, practice, practice a lot. And then product management, then I feel is a great career, right? It's a very important role. It's a vital role for any company. There's a lot of growth. A lot of product managers go on to become founders and CEOs at some point. So it's, I think, one role where leadership skills are very, very important. So as long as you pick 4 or 5 strong stories from your PhD experience, quantify your impact and results, write your story, create your resume, and then practice with people, then I think it's completely within reach. Becoming a product manager is definitely a great fit for PhDs.
Wonderful, wonderful. On that note, because you spoke about soft skills, and particularly I want to touch upon empathy, right? Now, when we speak about emotional intelligence and empathy, we generally are not able to understand what exactly are these and how are actually they working in real life, right? Now, when you're speaking about empathy, as I understand, it's your ability to look at the problem from the customer's perspective, right? So you're putting yourself in their shoes. So would you want to expand something more on the empathy skills that we are talking about? And of course, for sure, this is not something that our degrees teaches us, right? And how important it is. Maybe it's the core of being a product manager, but how important it is for you to become a good leader as well when you understand what empathy really is.
It's extremely important. According to me, that is the number one most important skill for a product manager as well as for any leader, empathy. So like you said, it's the ability to put yourself in the shoes of your customer or any counterpart or anyone with whom you're working with, right? So imagine you're building a product for, so a lot of product managers build software products. So let's say you're building a software that can be used in a hospital, right? So you can build a fancy software which can do a lot of things, but if nobody's using it, it doesn't matter, right? It's not going to sell. So the number one thing is, when we talk about empathy, okay, who is my end user? So that's the number one question. And why should they care, right? Like, why should they care? And what are their pain points? Like, how can I solve it for them? I think developing that, it's again, anything can be developed, any skill can be developed. So empathy is also something, the more you practice, you can develop. So just being able to put yourself in their shoes, that's the simpler way to put it. But again, at work, it's like, why should my customer buy my product? End of the day. So what is the compelling reason, right? They're not going to buy it for the fanciness, for all the things it can do. But I think you always have to start with understanding their pain points, solving their pain points. That's the work definition. Yeah.
Exactly. And on that note, I want to ask you, this has been a question for every speaker that has been on this show, because people have this misunderstanding, if I may say so, about soft skills. Okay. So, how important are soft skills for you to excel in your current career versus technical skills? What is your opinion over there?
Absolutely. That is, I think these days we are recognizing the importance of soft skills. So honestly, it's very, very important. You will start feeling soon that they're like, for certain roles, like for product managers, or the moment you get into leadership, right? Like, I think they are more important than your technical skills. Technical skills, definitely, that's your gateway to get into a job or to start your career, right? You can be a back-end engineer, you can be a mechanical engineer, but then that will take you so far. But beyond that, soft skills are going to make the difference, right? There's going to be like 10 people, let's say, doing that role. And when they have to pick and choose like who to promote, it's always the person who's easy to work with, who's reliable, right? Who they can count on, who has that intrinsic drive for excellence, right? So those are the people who are going to stand out in their job. Those are the people who are going to grow easily in their jobs. So soft skills are extremely important. So no doubt at all.
Wonderful. So on that note, again, I'm shifting gears a bit to the artificial intelligence part, okay? Because we are talking about soft skills, right? Now, how is AI impacting your job, and how do you see product management roles evolving with AI? And again, what's the soft skills part that become important in this case to help you survive in your role, and not just survive but thrive in your role as a product manager?
That's a great question. We have to embrace technology as we go, right? So there's no way we can escape it. So we have to embrace it. So I definitely don't see it as a threat. I do see that, it gives me a lot of power, AI. So I do use it for my job. And usually, like, the benefits are like the key reasons I use it for is like, there's like a big document, right? So you fit it into your AI, it can be any AI. Things are going to help you save time. Uh, so, like I said, I don't see it as a threat. And then with all the repetitive tasks, AI is again very helpful. But AI again can't like replace soft skills, right? That's one thing AI can do. AI is going to be very mechanical, at least at the moment. Like, I feel like AI is not going to replace us. It's only there to like supplement us. So if you embrace it, you can be more productive. You can do the same thing in lesser time. And then, so it's your assistant. It's a great assistant, very skillful. It's going to help you. So for every job, depending on what you do in your day, we all, I think AI has multiple use cases. So far, it's been helpful. And again, for job seekers, all the way from there until all the way until leaders, like everyone can benefit. So I don't see it as a threat.
Thank you for confirming that you do use and you don't see it as a threat. And on that note, just expanding on that, I believe that you know how to use it for your betterment or save time, right? Because I've been reading a lot about AI, and the one phrase that stuck with me, that AI is a tool, and you are still a fool if you don't know how to use a tool, right? So that's exactly what AI is about. If you don't know how to operate this tool for your own good, then it might not do you any good, right? Yeah. So on that note, AB, I'll come back to again the career break that you had. Okay, so this possibly is my last question. Is what is the mindset you were having back then, say 3 years back, versus what is the mindset you have now? That is the first part of the question. And based on this significant career shift you had, a very like very 10x kind of a career shift that you had in the last 3 years, what is your one advice to the mothers who are in a place that you were 3 years back, and what do you want them to think about themselves?
Sure. So the biggest thing is, don't settle for less, don't underestimate yourself, because that's been my biggest learning. When I had that long career break, when I was restarting, I was like, okay, so let's say there's a company which is like very, has a great reputation, and a lot of people want to get into that. I would be so scared, like, okay, so with my career break, I have zero chance of getting a job in that company. So my attitude was like, I'll just see jobs where there are like very minimum number of applicants, which is not a sought after job. Then maybe I have a good shot at it. So that was my attitude. But then, like I said, it only, your skills are not going away, right? They're part of you. It just takes 3 to 6 months for you to dust yourself and get up to speed. And after that, you won't even remember your career break. So after that, it's all the same. And then later, I realized like, oh, okay, so that thing was completely wrong, like, okay, I have to like undersell myself. I have to settle down. So that should not be the case for anyone. In fact, like, you kind of would appreciate an opportunity a lot more than anyone. So you're going to give your 110 percentage, right? Anything you get after a long time, you obviously are going to appreciate it more. So that will show in your work, that will, like, people can't not see it. So my biggest thing is like, don't settle for less. Do not undersell yourself. The world is your oyster, right? Just aim high. That's the thing. That's the one thing I want to tell people out there.
Absolutely. I think we all tend to aim low because that feels super comfortable, right? And it's your mind that wants to keep you safe from aiming high, because maybe that's where you have to have all the learnings and experience that growth. And growth always doesn't come with this comfort zone, unlike what we think, right? So it's going to make you uncomfortable, but at the same time, with your example, with 11 years of career break, everyone who is listening to this podcast shall know that it is so possible. Maybe anything that you want to add?
No, go get the world. Like I said, the world is your oyster. So the limits are only the ones you put to yourself. So go get there. We have a lot of like, what do I say? A lot of, everything is accessible these days, right? We're in 2025. So we are in a much better place than how we were yesterday. So definitely don't limit yourself. Go get the world, dream big, and all the very best.
Wonderful, Avi. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And most importantly, thank you for having that courage to step into a hyper competitive world after 11 years of break and giving us this story, especially for women who have left job for being a mother, for taking care of their kid, that maternity is not your enemy, it's your own mindset, right? So thank you so much. And if you are anyone who is going through today's episode and feeling a little bit more hopeful, a little bit more human, a little less behind, then that's exactly what we had aimed for here, okay, in this episode. So Jyoti's story was just that story maybe you needed to hear today to get that confidence back and elevate yourself to be aiming higher. And until next time, I want you to stay dumb. Of course, stay smart, but most importantly, stay you. Thank you.